When Can I Retire? Last session, we looked at a new book by Andrew Allentuck called When Can I Retire? This time, we're going to look at a book within a book. Can I retire? Andrew? My argument is if you're a government or politician, worker, or civil servant, and you have a defined benefit plan, you can retire. The rest of us ought to keep working.
That's a good answer. If you work for the federal government or a crown agency or a large bank, and if you are on the kind of defined benefit pension plan that is indexed, that will help you a great deal because relatively few alternative pension sources are indexed. Now let's look at the ones that are indexed. First of all federal government DB plans. Second, CPP, Canada Pension Plan, and Quebec Pension Plan have some indexation since they track the Consumer Price Index, and Old Age Security as well tracks the Consumer Price Index. The rest of it, your private savings, what you have in investments, have to turn out well. Otherwise, you may find that what happens is that you start with retirement with enough money, and then because of lack of indexation, because it doesn't keep up with the price level after you pay taxes on whatever you're getting paid out through RIFs, for example, your spendable money is going down and you're in a rough position. So you have to look at not only how much money you start with, but how much money you think you will have from all pension sources, and that will tell you, can you afford to retire?
Now you talk a lot about basically do your own inflation indexing through dividend-paying stocks that grow their dividends over time, and if you're a bond investor, having some of them in real return bonds or inflation index bonds.
It doesn't hurt.
Now, some people ask the question, how much do you need? I sometimes annoy people when I say, well, you need at least $1 million, or even $2 million would be nice if you don't have a defined benefit plan. You're not so dramatic as that, but what do you think?
Well, you have to look at how much what your expenses are going to be. How much cash flow do you need to support whatever obligations you have? If you've been living in a mansion as opposed to a small house, you obviously need a lot more cash. You can estimate the returns from any pool of assets. Just take a number, say 3%, 4%, 5% on a pre-tax basis. That's what you can expect. The more security you want, the lower your return is likely to be. So if, for example, you want 10% from your assets, you'll probably wind up with some jumpy stocks, and you may find that a lot of irregularity. If all you want is 3%, you can get government bonds, including real return bonds, and that may keep you at a steady level of cash flow until you shuffle off the mortal coil. It's really a matter of how much risk you can take and feel comfortable with in this period of retirement, and of course how many years you have. And one of the people think, well, annuities are a bad idea because sometimes people feel forced to buy an annuity. Well, the virtue of an annuity is that it includes not only interest income from whatever the bonds the annuity is invested in, but also a return of capital and sometimes whatever profit or extra income the insurance company that sells the annuity is able to squeeze out of, say, stocks or whatever other alternative investments they may have. It's good to compare annuity income to what you think you can get from your own asset investments and to see if an annuity is worth it. And if you think it is, certainly I wouldn't put all my money into it, but I'd investigate maybe putting some in, because that way you get a floor. No number of bad decisions can destroy your annuity income.
Well, it's longevity insurance, right? But
it is longevity insurance, but it's not indexed. Unfortunately, an annuity which is indexed is very, very hard to get and would be very expensive.
Now, you talk in the book about the Manulife Income Plus and some of those other Helios and some of those, etc. I wasn't sure whether my impression was you weren't that keen about them.
Well, they tend to have high fees. Those fees are often invisible. Dynamic has had them, but these things come and go. A lot of them are good ideas, though, because they provide a certain assurance of income, and they do it in a fairly simple way. They provide a bond interest, and if you skip taking a payment, they'll add what you skipped onto the capital. You get some deferral and compounding through postponement. They're worth investigating, not because they're intrinsically great investments, but they're additional choices you have in composing your own portfolio of retirement cash generators.
The last question for this session, the Canada Pension Plan, you personally chose to receive it, but then you're self-employed and you wanted to get rid of the paying it out. But do you think is it going to be there for most people? And B, should you take it early, middle, or late?
I'll take it backwards. When you should start to receive it is a matter of your life expectancy and your employment status and tax rate. Self-employed people pay approximately 9.9%. Those who are employees pay 4.95%. 5%. For people who are self-employed, continuing to pay that tax is a heavy burden. You'd have to live, I think, well beyond 100 to see any benefits. So from continuing to pay in after the first time, you can stop it at age 60. For people who are employees, it's probably a good idea to consider life expectancy and think, well, if you want it at 60, you can stop the payments, but you pay currently a 30% penalty. You have to pay as a reduction of benefit 1/2 of 1% per month for each month prior to age 65 when you start. But that's going from 0.5 to 0.6. So instead of paying a 30% penalty, you'll pay 36. And if you wait till 70, now the bonus is you get 30% more than the age 65 amount. Now it'll be 36%. You have to kind of consider your family history, your life expectancy, and what you do. It's always an individual question. But I would say for most people, taking it at 65 is reasonable, subject to a self-analysis. That's the start point. I chose to start taking my CPP at 65 just to stop the tax. It was that simple.
Okay, well, speaking of stopping, we're going to stop this segment now. So far, we've looked at when can I retire, and last segment, we're going to talk about where can I retire.
All right.
Thank you, Andrew Allentuck of When Can I Retire?